This is the Analysing Anfield podcast on the Blood Red channel, bringing you the best tactical and statistical analysis of Liverpool FC.
Hello everybody and welcome to this week's episode of Analysing Anfield, your tactics and analytics podcast, courtesy of the Blood Red channel. I'm joined by the usual partner, David Hughes. How are you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad, thanks, mate.
Do you know what? Are you sure about that? Because I'll let you have an off day this week after Everton's result last night.
Yeah, no, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm fine, mate. I'm glad that we're talking about Liverpool, not the football clubs within the Premier League.
Yeah, so am I, to be honest. So Manchester United, and we will look ahead to Wolves, who we're playing tomorrow. This is getting recorded on a Wednesday, and then we're going to look ahead as well to West Ham, who were a bit in the distance, but just because of how the time works out, we've got to record them today. But yeah, we'll start with Manchester United. We'll get straight to it. Bit of a tighter match than many will have expected, I think. I think for me, United were possibly a little bit more competitive than expected. Yeah. Especially considering they didn't have Rashford, didn't have Pogba, didn't have McTominay. But I think they competed fairly well between both boxes.
I expected a bit of a hammering. I think I predicted it last week, and then when the teams come out, I thought the same. But
in fact, saying that, I've recalled someone predicting 2-0.
Oh yeah, fair, yeah. Give yourself that one, mate. Pass on the back.
Yeah, I will do, yeah. I'll write that down when I finish the podcast.
Yeah, no, I actually said shortly after the game, for me, that was one of the best or better performances from an away side at Anfield in the league this season. Which some people, if you don't watch Liverpool every single game, specifically at Anfield, you might be a bit surprised by that, but they've just been that good this year, haven't they? Liverpool at home. That United remain competitive and actually made some half-decent chances.
Yeah, well, I think it's weird because they were competitive, and it was probably one of the best setups that Liverpool have faced this season. But at the same time, I'd still say it was fairly comfortable for Liverpool. I don't think we reached the whole fifth gear thing, with the exception of maybe the first 15 minutes of the second half. I think in a 10-15 minute period in the second half, I think we had about 7 shots. Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, but that's why I say contextualised. It's probably worth pointing out that they were one of the better sides to come to Anfield this season, because Liverpool have just been so good that even a game that panned out, as you've just said there, was still one of the better performances from an away side. But there were certainly occasions, specifically in that period after the second half, where Liverpool could have potentially ran away with it. Yeah, I think also that Mane effort goes in where.
Well, that's it. It is.
Yeah, he saves it with his feet.
Yeah, it is usually a case of like when maybe the expected goals is tight or the match feels tight or something like that. You always think that Liverpool always seem to have at least 5 chances that you would expect to see find a net most weeks, especially considering the quality of Liverpool's attackers in comparison to the average player. But I don't know, we're always well in it, aren't we, and that sort of thing. But just a little bit more on the expected goals there. Liverpool's XG on the day was 2.4 to Manchester United's 1.2. 16 shots to 9. So I think that paints a fairly accurate picture for me. I think Liverpool was certainly the more dominant team. Liverpool's XG is obviously double Manchester United's. But I think it also suggests that Man United maybe should have found the net at least once, with next year 1.2. Especially, I'm thinking the Martial chance.
Yeah, that was the big one. Although the one in the first half where Wan-Bissaka,
yeah, that's fair,
puts it across the face of the goal.
In fact, that probably won't show up, will it? Because that Wan-Bissaka was probably hitting a cross there across the goal, and the man on the end of it, who was Pereira, was it?
Pereira, yeah.
He doesn't actually connect with the ball, so that doesn't go down as a shot, does it?
This is the thing I'm having a bit of an issue with, because I think there's been some differences in terms of some people's XG data, and I'm not sure if they've counted that as a shot. Just we shouldn't really be doing this while we're meant to be recording, but it is interesting. See, they've certainly on, if we look at Y-Scout, for example, they've put it down as a chance of 0.51.
Yeah,
which is a very, very high high XG value for one effort, really.
Yeah, I'm looking at Understat here. Understat have got it down as well, so maybe he did connect with it. I don't recall him connecting with it.
I think his toe touches it, but
okay.
he's too far behind, can't get enough of a contact on it. But
yeah, Understat have valued it as 0.79, which is obviously a very high chance. That goes in most of the time, put it that way.
I have said before, though, haven't I, that I said it in the game to one of the United correspondents who was obviously covering it, that Liverpool will always give you, I think, 1 or 2 chances, clear-cut chances. Oh, well, no, actually, that's what I mean. When that's saying he's wrong. They'll give a good 1 or 2 chances per game, but it's just all about converting them. But even when you do, Liverpool can still score 2 or 3 at the other end. So it's
like when those chances do come, you're usually relatively close to goal, but you're usually being pressed, and you usually got bodies between you and the goal, and because they're so few and far in between, when they do come, I think players are almost inclined to panic a little bit.
Always, yeah. After a while, because I can't remember remember ages ago we were on the show, and Dan Kennett just put a tweet out about big chances missed against Liverpool.
Yeah.
It was this season, though, so it wasn't that long ago. And it was something ludicrous, wasn't it? Like, say 17 in the last 21 or something along those lines, which seems crazy, but, with context, when you watch the chances, these players are always under immense pressure, aren't they? And there should be some. It is
weird to the extent that they don't even hit the target a lot of the time. Like, Martial blazes over the bar. Pereira, obviously, a little bit different, but Pereira misses.
I think Pereira can get away with this a little bit because...
but a week earlier, though, Lo Celso misses from 2 yards out. Son blazes over the bar. It is weird how, I don't know, maybe it gets in the head, I don't know what it is.
I think it is a mixture of the... this is what I was about to say. There should be some credit for Liverpool's defence, in my opinion, because they are pressured. He looks at Alisson. Say we're talking about the Martial chance. He looks at Alisson, big in the goal, intimidating, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, if not the best. All these things in just that split second, and he chooses to go with what I thought was a bizarre technique on the finish.
Martial?
Yeah.
Yeah, laces.
Yeah. So it's all these little things,
I was going to ask you
in the microseconds that kind of impact it, that don't necessarily get picked up in the data.
Yeah, I was going to ask you then, to be honest, do you think the presence of Alisson plays a part in a player's finishing?
Yeah, I do now, definitely, yeah.
If you're facing a keeper that you are well aware is the best in the league, are you more inclined then to think, I'll hit it as hard as I can, as opposed to I'll find a corner?
Yeah, because, potentially would Martial just try to, I don't know, a usual finish, maybe try to let it drop down a little bit more and curl it round if he was facing anybody else, really. But has he thought this needs to be something fantastic, need to put power behind it, needs to put it in the top corner? As I said, it's all microseconds, isn't it? But I think definitely facing Alisson, it does impact thought processes.
Yeah,
can't rely on instinct as much.
Yeah, Liverpool now over 11 hours without conceding a single goal, which is some record. And we did mention every week for the first half of the season, the clean sheets will come. I didn't think it'd come to this extent, must be honest, but fair play. United changed on the day to the same formation I think that they used at Old Trafford, back three, 3-4-1-2 formation was, which I thought it was interesting how he clearly instructed Wan-Bissaka and Williams to both close down Trent and Robertson. I thought that was an interesting little ploy. Sometimes it worked against them, but it seemed to be a real plan to where the opposing team appreciates the threat of Liverpool's fullbacks. And as I said, whenever they got the ball, wherever Williams was or Wan-Bissaka was, they would just literally dart 30 yards out to close them down, to refuse allowing time on the ball, things like that. It's one of the first ploys I've actually seen where, we're going to cater for Liverpool's fullbacks. I
thought, you know what, certainly on Liverpool's right, their left, I thought it worked quite well, because you know how dangerous Trent can be. I had a quick gander and he averages around 52 passes received per 90 in the Premier League, and it was only 37 in that game, so I think he there was certainly a case of them limiting the threat down there, and the bulk of the attacks were going down Liverpool's left. But I actually thought Wan-Bissaka had a really bad game, which contributed to it.
Yeah, he was I don't know, Gary Neville was saying in commentary that like he was tired by a certain point, and we seemed to attack United's right at Liverpool's left. We seemed to attack down that flank a weird amount, considering
it was a high amount.
Defensively decent.
So
and on the other side, you've got a kid. You know what I mean, Brandon Williams.
Yeah, but as I said, I think he's going to go on to be a really good player, Williams. But I did write a piece early in the week, and it flagged how many attacks went down the. I'll bring it up now.
Would you say the ploy of closing down Liverpool's fullbacks the way they did worked? I'm just showing you now there. Obviously, unfortunately, the listeners can't see, but there's Trent's passing network for the day. It's still quite adventurous, isn't it? But at the same time, it's maybe not to the level he usually. You see what I mean?
So it looks like he's basically still being, I don't know, like a playmaker from that wide area. But if you have a look, there seems to be less in terms of final third balls, doesn't it?
Passes into the final third.
Just even in and around the final third, the passes seem to just be a little bit reduced. There's less in there.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
From him actually being in that area.
Yeah, he was. You mean he was more withdrawn?
Yeah, it felt like deeper. He was forced to stay a little bit deeper.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there.
There is. So yeah, I think it was just 7 of Liverpool's 39 positional attacks, as they're called, according to Wisecout anyway, come down the right, with the bulk coming down the left. So yeah, as you said, there was a high amount going down that side, but I thought they had loads of success there.
Yeah,
with
just
Mane as well.
Just on what you've said there regarding Trent, he usually is average for the season in the Premier League. Let's do for passes into the box is 6.2. Against United, he attempted 2. So obviously below average there.
But did you notice Liverpool would? This is not new, but did you notice Liverpool were doing a lot of the 1 up, 1 down thing with the fullbacks, weren't they? So
yeah.
If they're going to be focusing their attacks a lot down their left, that's going to see Robertson being advanced, and maybe to kind of balance it, you've got to bring Trent a little bit deeper. So that's probably the explanation behind it, but interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean the opening goal. Obviously, the perks of having a player in the mould of Virgil van Dijk. I thought Van Dijk was flawless on the day.
Again.
Some player, honestly, nothing gets through him. Everything seems to be intercepted by him. His reading of the game is ridiculous. And obviously, as you know, he scores the opening goal of the game. Just in addition to his ridiculous defensive performance.
You know what it is for me? It's just the ice that runs through his veins. You know, I know that's a cliche line, but he just never looks flustered, does he?
No, he's honestly. But I said weeks and weeks ago that he was the best central defender I've ever seen, and that he is the type of player that you make in a lab. And I firmly stand by that. He's no room for nostalgia at all. People look at the likes of Maldini and Nesta and all this stuff. Great defenders, don't get me wrong, but these players had weaknesses. Van Dijk does not have a single weakness as far as I'm concerned, not one. You can't play on any aspect of his game and hope to get gains out of it.
Well, I did notice that United was trying to counter by playing balls in behind the fullbacks for the likes of James to chase onto, but bear in mind how fast James is, because you see it, don't you, when he tries to track back for Salah's goal.
Yeah, he's lightning quick.
Yeah, he couldn't get away from Van Dijk at all. Like, he just couldn't. And I think James would beat Van Dijk in a leg race, but because of Van Dijk's powers of anticipation, he's already like 2 or 3 yards ahead of him. No, you say that, but I'm not even sure. You know, especially depending on the distance, the distance of the race. Van Dijk is, I'm sure Van Dijk's something like the second quickest in the squad. In Liverpool's squad, that's up against Salah and Mane and players like that. Look,
over a certain distance.
If he's quicker than James, then fair play. I'm not there to take that away from him. But the point I'm trying to make is, I think he just anticipates moves so well that he's always got a yard or two to make it comfortable. Yeah,
just a little bit more on the fullbacks there. There's Robertson's passing network.
Yes,
obviously a lot more advanced.
Yeah, look how many balls from inside the attacking third he's made.
Yeah, Trent, I think attempted 51 passes in the match. Robertson attempted 71. Passes into the box for Robertson, if it ever loads, was 8. So obviously a lot more than sense.
Yeah.
So I just found it a bit strange considering we attacked down the side of the defence that Wan-Bissaka situated, who many would label as defensively sound, and the side of Luke Shaw and Brandon Williams, we maybe let off the hook, is that fair to say? So I just found it a little bit strange. But
then do you wonder if maybe there wasn't necessarily a plan to attack down the specific, and instead it was because you spoke about it before, how Klopp can be kind of the mindset of letting the players kind of problem solve on their own, and maybe because they could attack down both quite easily, couldn't they? And maybe they realised they were just enjoying much more success going down that side, so continue to try and exploit it.
Yeah, maybe it could be a case as well of us being a bit more concerned about Martial being, Daniel James, decent player, but is he going to score? He's not going to score really, is he? So maybe we're a bit more adventurous down that flank with Future keeping a bit deeper to cater for Martial, because he's the only player in the squad really that's going to get a goal.
No, that's fair, yeah. He's the best finisher in the side without Rashford, isn't he?
Yeah. But I think United played, as I said, fairly well between both boxes. But, they covered on Match of the Day an aspect that I picked up on, where as they entered vaguely the final third, or just before the final third, just that final pass, they seemed to either not take or be restricted to take. And I think that was the difference on the day, the fact that Liverpool could play through United a lot easier than United could play through Liverpool. And I think progressive passes, that's a pass that's forward, basically. Considerably forward. It's labelled as Liverpool completed 80% of their progressive passes, United completed 50%. And I think, Liverpool just controlling the pitch really. Liverpool being a compact block, United being a bit more open.
Yeah.
And I think we saw that on the pitch. I think, that's how it played out really.
Yeah. I've always said that Liverpool could be a fantastic side sitting in a low block. They could be the best there.
Yeah, definitely.
They really could, but obviously they've got so much more to give that they don't need to. But when those moments do appear where they need to be organised defensively, they do it brilliantly. And just, restrict the space, and it's very difficult. Plus, I think there's that element of, we're just talking about it in terms of finishing. Again, you're overthinking your passes, or you're overhitting them, you're just not doing them right because you're struggling so much, knowing that you need to get this final ball to create a chance against Liverpool.
Yeah.
I think that's what United struggled with.
Yeah, just one more little thing to touch on before we move on to look ahead to Wolves. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer made a cheeky little comment after the match. I'm not entirely sure it was a dig, because I've watched him say it.
I'm also with you on this, but go on.
Yeah, I've watched him say it, and I'm not sure he means it as a dig. I think he means it as Liverpool being a bit of a Swiss Army knife in terms of the things that they throw at you. But he mentioned Liverpool and long balls. And I think he's right.
Yeah, I agree.
I've got no bones with what he said at all.
I think the only thing it missed was context. I think if he would have said, they can carve you open through skill, but also, and then talked about the long balls, no one would have said anything.
Yeah, I think that was what it was. I think he denied the fact that Liverpool can carve you open. I think he said the opposite to that, didn't he?
I can't remember.
He said, I think he said they don't really carve you open or something like that, which is wrong.
Or they didn't carve us open or something.
Yeah, something like that.
But
on the day, Liverpool completed 35 long passes. United completed 14. And I wrote a piece earlier in the week, shared it on my Twitter at Distance Covered if you want to check it out. But Liverpool are currently top in Europe's top 5 leagues for long passes per 90. Obviously Liverpool do it a lot, but we do it crucially to our benefit, and I think it's calculated. It's not aimless. It's not, in the mould of, I think some managers are inclined to do it because they haven't really got a clue of how else to get up the field.
Yeah.
I think Liverpool do it just as a means of mixing up the build-up, being more unpredictable. And one of the closing lines in the piece that I wrote was that, in an age of analysis where you're analysing every opponent, trying to work out what their patterns of play are and things like that, how do you analyse the patterns of play of a team that appears chaotic and appears random and appears, basically unpredictable, really. There's no real pattern there, is there? It's percentage football almost, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. It's the long ball as well. It's like a multi-phased attack, isn't it? So, because we talked about this recently, didn't we? And I said it's not always about winning the first ball, is it? It's just all about attempting to win the first ball, but if not, picking up the second, and then you'd suddenly got X amount of players in the attacking third. The defence is unorganised, and as you said, it creates a chaotic environment which supports the attacking side. Just touching on your thing you were saying about it's the difficult to predict and the chaos and things. I just want to mention about the corner thing.
Yeah, I saw that. I was gonna retweet that actually.
Yeah, it's. I did a piece this weekend. It's something I've spoke about with Josh before.
Have you mentioned this on the pod before? Stuff about it. I think you'll have.
I think after the Salzburg game, but I just mentioned how Liverpool tend to have very little in the way of consistency from corners,
which is a positive.
Yeah, I was just about to say, which initially may sound like I'm being negative, but it's anything but, because basically they'll have different set piece takers from different sides of the pitch, and then there'll be out swingers, in swingers, short. And if you go onto my Twitter at @DAHughes_, there's just a small chart of the 11 corners that Liverpool had against United, and what side of the pitch they're from, who took them, and the delivery type. And you'll just see that the kind of, is the term mayhem maybe, that they are. It's just so difficult.
I'd say variation is the word I've used, and I think that's a massive thing. I think it's so important.
Because it's difficult for the opponents to anticipate what they're about to face, which is why I think Liverpool are so successful from corners and set pieces, because how do you prepare in the week? How do you prepare in game? Analysis is going on in the game, isn't it? It's on the pitch. Got like iPads and stuff there.
Have you got it there?
Yeah.
Just read out the deliveries.
Okay, you ready?
Don't read out the player takers, even though they varied as well.
Yeah.
But the actual deliveries, I think, offers an insight into it.
So we got delivery type. We've got short, out swinger, out swinger, out swinger, in swinger, short, short, in swinger, out swinger, short, low cross. And what I will add as well, not only does that give it a good idea of what it can be like to face Liverpool set pieces, but they're from different sides of the pitch as well. Don't forget. Yeah. So you might have two out swingers on the run, but they'll be from different areas of the different corner flags. Sorry, so it's it really is mad, and it's just another little thing that Liverpool do, and that's giving them an edge over.
Yeah, be unpredictable. I think it's the lesson there, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, mate.
We'll move on anyway to Wolves. So this is a team that, we analysed them like a week ago.
Yeah, it's been a strange set of fixtures, this, hasn't it? Because we played I think it's 3.5 weeks since these fixtures were played, I think, roughly.
Yeah. We'll try to go a little bit different, and we'll maybe touch upon some of the key points that we made last time or so, but we're not going to stay on Wolves for too long, simply because, as I said, we've already really done an episode on them. But they're still very much the same team as a few weeks ago in terms of what the threats that they pose and things like that. I think they've only lost 5 times, which again is still the same as a couple of weeks ago, the second best alongside Manchester City, I think. Bettered only by obviously Liverpool. Since they faced Liverpool, they're yet to lose any of the XG battles. I think they've cleanly won 2 of them, I think. Double check that in a sec. And they have drew 1, I think, according to the expected goals. But the actual results that they've gathered, a loss, a draw, and a win. So bit of randomness there, but yeah, what more is there to say about them, really? I think they're a side firmly that show the benefits of fostering a culture, I'd say. I think you can tell that they've been together for a long time. You can tell that they're a solid group. And one of the reasons that I say that is because they've collected the most points in the division by some distance, I think, as well, from losing positions.
Yeah.
And that obviously links with their most recent result, which was a 3-2 win over Southampton. But they were 2-0 down in that match. So I think this is one of the remaining few, I'd say, in the season that Liverpool's unbeaten threat is maybe, well, it's under threat. That's what I meant. See what I mean by that?
I think the Wolves are just, the way they've adapted to the Premier League is phenomenal. They've gone from being a promoted side last season to easily a top 8 side, in my opinion. Yeah,
comfortably, yeah.
And not just that, I think in terms of going to the Molineux, like Liverpool will be, it's one of, I don't know, I've got no statistical data to back it up on this point, but it definitely seems one of the toughest places to go in the Premier League. It's one of the grounds that there always seems to be an atmosphere there, especially when big teams come there. And they have a great record against top 6 sides as well. In fact, I saw this on Twitter yesterday. I apologise, I can't remember who tweeted it, but if you look at a top 6 mini league added with Wolves in it, Wolves would actually finish 3rd. So it would be Liverpool, Man City, then Wolves, then Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, Spurs. So out of their 19 games against top 6 sides, they've won 6, drew 6, lost 7. So it really is difficult to call. You know, they make these games competitive.
Yeah, I think they're one of the best in the league in transition, on the counter-attack.
Yeah.
And I think Raul Jimenez will start this match. Traore will start this match, unlike the Anfield fixture. So I think they're a team that obviously we know they don't press very much. They sit tight, block off passing lanes and things like that. And then when you try and force it, basically, they will make an interception and quickly spring on you. Obviously in Traore, Jimenez, Jota usually plays. I think Neto's played a few lately. They've got the players that just a few knee passes between them, link up plays, 1-2s and things like that. They get up the field quickly and they score. They do a few little neat things from set pieces too. Obviously it's away from home and it's gonna be a tricky game. I'm not exactly sure how this one will play out, but I think Liverpool are the best in the league in terms of coping with that transition threat. Just the one-on-one capability of Van Dijk and Gomez, the speed of them, the discipline of the midfield and things like that. So
I have no worries about Van Dijk and Gomez dealing with threats, but as you said, obviously we know that they tend to sit in that defensive like 5-3-2 shape. But the way they spring out, I think they seem to do it in numbers, which is important. And I just wonder whether they're going to be able to create any overloads if the wing backs, Trent and Robertson, do push on a little bit too much. It won't happen a lot. And I said they're more than likely to do the 1-up, 1-down, where they'll try and keep at least 3 defenders in defence. But I mean, I can only agree with you. I think this is a tricky one, especially coming off I'm right in saying Wolves is the next game, isn't it? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tomorrow, isn't it?
Wolves next, yeah.
Yeah, so this to me, especially with the high of United, like that was probably, would you say that's the highest Liverpool felt this season in the league?
Yeah, with the gap that we've got, I'm going to say it now.
Well, yeah.
Liverpool are going to win the league.
Yeah.
They're going to win the league. It's fame.
I said it a couple of months ago, but I didn't have no.
I've wanted to say it since about December 10th, I think, but I've refrained from doing it because I can't be bothered with the grief.
You know what my one was? Mine was when they come back from the Club World Cup, should be fatigued, and went and destroyed Leicester and then beat Wolves, ironically. And after that, I thought, no, that for me that's it. That should have been if you're going to have a slip up, that should have been it.
Yeah.
So it's done now. But
if you disagree, please don't tell us. I'm not really fussed.
Yeah.
Because people seem to take issue when it's not over until it's over, which is obviously true, but you know, we're realistic here. And
as we said though, didn't we previously, if you were looking at the Bundesliga now, La Liga, and this was the gap, you'd say that team's won the league. So that's all we're doing. We're not trying to, taint it or jinx it.
I think for me, a couple of weeks after Liverpool beat Manchester City, in fact 2 weeks later, City drew with Newcastle, and then 2 weeks after that got beat by Manchester United. Then was when I was like, Liverpool have got this. This is Liverpool's 100%. And it wasn't overly, well, it is obviously because Liverpool are ridiculous, but it was also because Manchester City just seems so vulnerable this season, so fragile.
They haven't got that 14-game winning streak in them like they had last year, have they?
No, I mean, having said that, Aguero is back, looks in form, Laporte is now back. So I'd expect if they're going to have any kind of run, I'd expect it to happen now.
But I thought that, a week or two ago, and then they drew with Palace at home.
Yeah.
Which I know Palace for them seems to be a bizarre fixture, but you still think pressure on. But
yeah, but what you said there, though, on the whole moment thing, I think with Liverpool having the league pretty much done, that last-minute winner against United, I think is the closest we're going to get to a moment where we're like, we've done it. Do you know what I mean? I think when we do it, it'll be a bit of a, well, we already know what's coming anyway.
Yeah. But I'm just wondering, basically, I'm trying to gauge whether, I don't doubt the mentality of this side, but I wonder whether there's going to be a potential for vulnerability going into this game. Being on such a high, going to a really difficult place, you have to really try and replicate that sort of performance again.
Yeah, I don't know. Klopp's been relentless since.
I know, yeah.
Relentless at the whole, avoiding complacency. You can tell he's absolutely zero interest in any complacency coming in, and you can tell at the moment it's getting stamped out by him immediately. He's been quick. Even when we beat Leicester 4-0, and that was literally a perfect performance away from home against second in the league. You could tell he didn't want to dive on the whole, we are amazing. And you could tell he was a bit concerned in the interviews that, it was great. And he was desperately trying to pick out areas we needed to improve. He was struggling.
Yeah.
But it was one of them, so you can tell he's not one of them. So I think we're safe in that regard. One more little point on Wolves. I think the whole ball over the top thing comes into it. Obviously, we pointed out last time that they conceded from a ball over the top against Brighton. Neil Maupay scored. And then when Liverpool faced them, a ball over the top, Liverpool scored. We won 1-0, and it came from a ball over the top. So I think don't get me wrong, I like Conor Cody.
Yeah.
And I like Wolves' defence. They've got Duncan at the minute, I think, and Romain Saiss. Decent players, but they're not quick.
No.
And they try to keep a compact line fairly high up the field without pressing. And it just affords Van Dijk time on the ball. Mane can get in behind ahead of the likes of Conor Cody and players like that. So
what I found when I was doing a bit of analysis on them earlier in the month was I looked at that Liverpool game. The sometimes the defence might be in a good position, but the midfielders will sometimes try and press when the opposition come into their half. And what that seems to be doing is creating a gap between the defence and the midfield. So when a long ball does come over, even if Wolves win the initial header, the opposition, aka Liverpool, tend to sweep up the second ball because they're faster to it and kind of hover in that area of the gap between the defence and midfield, and then that creates these difficult attacking moments. So I think that's where they'll get some success against Wolves when they play. Yeah.
One thing I will say as well is that Liverpool seem to very sporadically mix it up against these three at the back teams. When we know a team is definitely playing three at the back against us, we sometimes come with a 4-2-3-1. And I think we did against Wolves a couple of weeks ago. Lallana played in a 4-2-3-1, I think. I think that was when he was off, actually, wasn't he? I think I did that one with Christian.
The OG, Mr.
Walsh. But, just thought it was worth noting because it may be something we see again, considering that we do tend to mix it up a little bit against Wolves in terms of formations. But we will move on, yeah. In fact, no, we'll get a verdict on that one first. What do you think?
1-0 Liverpool.
I'm going to go 2-0 Liverpool, I think. But, horrible match. I think it's a tough match.
Yeah.
I will say that. I don't think it's going to be...
You can tell by our predictions there. They were very serious, weren't they?
Yeah. We'll move on anyway to West Ham. And the return of the Sweet Prince.
I think I called him Ginger Prince on the show, but that was definitely not to cause any offence.
Well, because of his return, they're a difficult team to preview because it's a new regime, isn't it? But, what are your general thoughts on David Moyes being appointed? And what his approach may be going into Liverpool? Obviously, he used to be in charge of Everton, so you've got a bit of a gauge on how he thinks and things like that. So,
I think he... I wouldn't have been very happy with the appointments as a West Ham fan. I think both parties would have avoided that move under different circumstances. I think West Ham wouldn't have went back in for Moyes after him only being there 2 years ago. I think Moyes, the way he was basically sacked, let go, I think he wouldn't have returned either. But both were desperate. Moyes was desperate for a manager's job. He wanted the Everton one, clearly didn't get it. And West Ham needed someone to come in and hopefully bring some stability. And for all Moyes' flaws, I think he does bring an element of stability. In terms of facing Liverpool, I think it'd be exactly as you'd expect. I think he's just going to try and nullify the threat and create 1 or 2 chances and hopefully convert them.
Would you label him as a defensive coach? Or is that unfair? Pragmatic was the word.
Pragmatic, definitely, I think is a much better term. I think he harshly got labelled negative from his time in Everton, but certainly his last season, I thought Everton played some of the best football they've played in a long time.
Yeah. Quite direct, isn't he?
Yeah, but not necessarily that kind of stuff we were talking about earlier. Negative direct. It was,
a bit more calculated. Yeah.
Lots of vertical passes, getting the ball forward, not trying to overplay. The problem is, though, it's difficult to gauge what level manager he is now because he's been out the game for so long, and his jobs when he was in the game were short and sweet, really.
Yeah. Obviously, West Ham played Everton on the weekend. Did you catch the game?
Yeah.
How did he perform, West Ham?
An okay first half. Seemed to be happy to relinquish possession.
Were they quite safe?
Yeah, they were. So bearing in mind they were the home team, they gave Everton a lot of the ball in their own half, but they tended to be fairly compact within their own half. But I think, if I remember correctly, Everton won the XG on the day. Everton, for me, were below par and still were just about the better side. So I don't think this is going to be a tough game for Liverpool, if I'm being brutally honest.
No, neither do I.
I think
I do think he'll have them more drilled than they were under Pellegrini. I think if this was Pellegrini still in charge, it could have been a cricket score.
Yeah.
But it'll be a bit tighter because of that, and I think he'll generally play to his strengths, avoid risks. I think they'll hit long plenty of times. But I think they've got a bit of a problem in central midfield now. In terms of formations, he's used 4-4-1-1 twice, and he's used 3-4-3 against Sheffield United. Both of those formations include a midfield pair, and it's always Rice and Noble. But I'm not sure they complement each other that well in terms of tendencies on the pitch. Noble likes to be a bit of a maverick and press on his own, and it leaves Rice covering a lot of space, and there's usually space in behind Noble that I'm pitching Roberto for Firmino to drop into, receive the ball with Salah and Mane both starting into the channels ahead of him. That's exactly what I'm pitching.
Yeah.
Can you see that happen?
Yeah, I can, yeah. No, sorry, I'm just laughing because I've been booted out of my laptop. Yeah, no, I can. I also think Rice can sometimes be stuck with some of the leg work because Noble's... How old is Noble now?
He's in his 30s, I'm assuming, surely.
Yeah, so he's 32 now, I think there is an element of Rice expected to do, as the younger player, expected to do more leg work, and I agree, I don't think they do necessarily complement each other at all.
But you say Rice doing the leg work, I think he's capable of doing it, but I don't think he's an Ndidi level ball winner. I don't think he can cover that amount of ground like a Kante or an Ndidi can.
I think doing I don't think he's the quickest over the short spaces, so he can't close the gaps down quick enough. And I think he can just tire a player out over the course of 90 minutes. I think that's the issue with it.
Yeah. I mean, looking at their results since Moyes came in, bit all over the place. They won 4-0 against Bournemouth in his debut, which I think highlights Bournemouth, I think, more than West Ham.
Yeah.
Then they lost 1-0 to Sheffield United. I caught that game. They didn't deserve anything, even though that there was controversy at the end. And obviously they drew 1-0 against Everton. They certainly won the XG against Bournemouth. That was firmly deserved.
Against a really poor side at the time, Bournemouth. No, they won last night, but they were free for all, weren't they?
Yeah. but both matches since, well, they were firmly beaten against Sheffield United, as I said, and against West Ham, against Everton, sorry. That looks as though that was deserved draw. But yeah, I can't see them causing us that many problems. One player that I picked up before the start of the season was Sebastian Haller. I predicted him to have a good season, but I think he's suffered at the hands of West Ham, basically. I don't think you can blame him that much.
No, there's not a ton of creativity in the side, to be honest, with West Ham, so that is naturally going to have an impact, because he's the type of player ready to finish attacking sequences, isn't he? So he relies on creative players around him to give him goals.
Yeah, he thrived last season at Frankfurt, obviously with Luka Jovic next to him and with Ante Rebic in the side as well. So it was a fluid system, but front three and things like that. And his numbers have just massively taken a hit, really. His XG per 90 last season was 0.54. This season it's 0.31. His expected assists last season per 90 was 0.25. Now it's 0.05. So we've reached that's a big drop off that one. He's creating nothing for others. Now, would you determine that to be he's got no one to create for, or has he kind of just stopped being Sebastian Haller? Can he? I mean,
it'd be interesting to see how much of the ball he's getting and and stuff, and in what areas. And
I'm just thinking the way at Frankfurt you've got Rebic looking to get in the goals, you've got Jovic looking to get in the goals. At West Ham, Felipe Anderson, good player. Yarmolenko, good player. Fornals, good player. But they're not scorers, are they? They're going to be creating for him. But he's not. I just think the perks of Sebastian Haller is that he was quite a complete forward, able to provide for others while scoring himself. And I think he's been put in a team that he's got to do all the scoring, and there's no one else he's going to be able to provide for. That's my take on it, really.
Yeah, no, I'd agree, yeah. He's, I think, I actually think he could come good, but he just needs to be in a more settled side. I think it's really hard to perform in a new league in a difficult club who's experienced difficult times. That happened a lot with Everton, who I think have a lot of parallels with West Ham. When they spent a lot of money in 2017, a lot of players underperformed in that side because the team weren't doing well. It was the environment wasn't good, and there was managerial changes, and I just think stuff like that can impact it. The kind of stuff that we can't measure in numbers, and we talk about, things off the pitch or just psychological aspects of the game, I think might be having a part on them. Yeah.
I mean, as I said, there are difficult teams to analyse fully in terms of picking out their weaknesses and where we may be able to score and things like that, simply because Moyes has been in charge of 3 games. But I do think that Rice Noble thing is important. I think if Firmino can drift into the space behind Mark Noble, and maybe Van Dijk can take a bit too much time on the ball and almost lure Noble out or something like that, then I think it can create gains. I think it's an easy way of entering the final third, and I can see us getting benefits from that. But other than that, there are difficult teams to actually assess in terms of where we're going to get gains from it. But what would your verdict be on that one?
I think that'd be an easy win, to be honest. And you know what? I'm gonna go 3-1, just because law of averages. I think Liverpool may finally concede a goal, but it'll be an absolute fluke of a goal, and it'll be a comfortable win.
Yeah, I was thinking 3-1. Along the same lines, really. I think 11 hours without conceding at the minute. We've just given them a clean sheet against Wolves. They've got to. It's just the tangibles, isn't it? Like there's so many things that can impact it. Something may go against them eventually, and they'll concede. But it won't be through a lack of talent. No, West Ham do tend to score the odd fluke goal as well. What was the goal like he scored against Everton?
Set piece goal.
Well, that won't happen against Liverpool. That doubt, but
it was a free kick. Wasn't nothing special, to be honest. Should have been defended. So yeah, I can't see them having the same joy against Liverpool.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go 3-1 with that one. But if Liverpool get a clean sheet, I won't be surprised.
No.
But before we round off, we obviously mentioned last week about questions. We didn't really get round to it. So for the end of this podcast, I'm going to answer 2. Dave's going to answer 2. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I don't suppose you have mine to hand, do you?
Yeah, I think I do, yeah.
Only because I
think so.
I've been boosted out my laptop, so I'm just going on memory here.
So, hang on a sec.
I think I remember the
your
question,
first
but I just want to
question.
give the credit to the person who's asked it.
Yeah, we've got the people's names for the first time ever on the show.
Yeah.
So
we finally got around to doing that.
Your first question is by Robin Nicolassen. I hope I've said that right.
Yeah, you will.
The question is, have there been any tactical changes since Hendo took over Fabinho's position?
Spoke about this briefly before, but in short, no. I think, except for maybe minor playing differences, because obviously you can't replicate the exact playing style of a player. I think one of the impressive things Liverpool have is this, that we've talked about a few times now, the alignment from top to bottom. And I think what that means is when they play the same, 4-3-3 formation, same tactics, they have players who are so well drilled in it that they can go into a specific role on the pitch and perform it to what's required or what's expected of them. I think Henderson is a very versatile midfielder, and that's why he's got the ability to drop into that six and replicate Fabinho. As I said, there may be some minor differences in terms of the player playing style, but no, I think there's no major changes to how Liverpool have played. And you know what? This is nothing on Fabinho because he's fantastic, but Liverpool have coped really well without him. Actually, I expected it to be a lot more difficult for them, and I wouldn't say he hasn't been missed, but in terms of results, he hasn't been missed.
No, I think I maybe would go as far as saying he hasn't been missed. To be honest, yeah.
You just don't want to take nothing away from him, though, do you?
That's no slant on his contributions, because he's a top player and he's one of Liverpool's main players. He's midfield general in there, but I haven't really thought about his presence once. There's not really been a time where I've thought, see if Fabinho gets to that, or if we have Fabinho there. But at the same time, he's a top player. So, difficult one to explain that one, really, I suppose. But
in short, no.
Yeah. So my first question, Richard Peel. Do you think Minamino could be a long-term replacement for Firmino? I think probably, yeah. I think that's why he's been signed. He's been signed as a rotation option for the front three, I think. But the player he's most similar to, undoubtedly for me, is Firmino. When you say long-term replacement, Minamino is 24, so he's not that young. You'd like to think Firmino can keep going at this level for at least another 2 years.
How old is he now?
I think he's 28. But consider Firmino's game isn't that focused on speed. So maybe he can keep going to like 32 or so. So I'm not sure if he's a long-term replacement for Firmino. I think he's more of a rotation option for right now. But he's the most similar in terms of he's inclined to drift between the lines, offer almost a vehicle into the final third by offering that link between the opposition's midfield and defence, while Salah and Mane running behind, basically. Obviously, got that work rate about him. Very honest type of player. I thought he was a bit quicker than he actually is. He's not lightning quick off the mark. I don't think he's as much of a threat in behind, although I do think he could play as Mane or Salah if he had to. But, as I said, I think he's most like Firmino, and I think he's probably been bought to be a rotation option. But I'm not overly sold on the long-term heir to Firmino's current role. I'm not saying on that one. Yeah. Do you want me to read out your next question? Have you got that?
If you don't mind me, yeah.
So, Joshua Worthington. Can Liverpool reach into an invincible season?
So we talked about it recently, didn't we? Did I tip them to? I can't remember. I think
you said if we win a specific game, then yeah. But I can't remember.
Oh no, you know what it was? It was prior to Spurs and United.
Yeah,
I said if they win them too, which they did. I think they have a really good chance now, and I think that could prove to be the motivation once the title's been sewn up, because the title's going to be won, I imagine, around mid-March. Going towards April. There's still plenty of fixtures to play then. So, similar to, do you remember when Pep's side were after the 100-point haul? And they just kept going, didn't they? Relentless. And when they scored that goal away at Southampton, there was like pandemonium, the whole bench was going crazy, and it was. I could see something similar with Liverpool if they have an invincible season. The only thing is, I think they've got maybe 3 tough games, not including Wolves, away from home. That is going to really test them. I think, ironically, Everton at Goodison Park. We know the Merseyside derby's become a little bit of a farce over the last few years, but at Goodison it always seems to be a difficult place for Liverpool to go.
Ancelotti too.
Yeah, Ancelotti as well. I think they will be embarrassed about that result a few weeks ago, that they'll be trying to get something out of the game. But then there's Arsenal away under Arteta, which, you know, we're on the pod today on the back of that 2-2 draw at Stamford Bridge where they had 10 men. Really good results. Arteta's doing good things already there. So I expect that to be a tough game. And then City away as well. You know,
it's a big one, that league.
Yeah, it's April as well, so the title could be won at that point. I think Pep and the team will be really keen to get one over on Liverpool if they've obviously took the title off them. So that's probably going to be the hardest. So yeah, there's a good possibility they can do it, but there's still plenty of tests along the way before they can secure it.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, some people have been downplaying it and focused on the league and stuff like that, but I must admit, I really want it, you know.
Yeah.
I would love Liverpool to go unbeaten for the full season. I think it's massive.
You go from being a title winning side, which obviously it's the be all, you know, it's the achievement in itself, but you get remembered when you're an invincible side.
Arsenal get talked about weekly.
Yeah.
And that was 17 years ago.
And they weren't even as good as this Liverpool side.
No, they weren't. They drew plenty, yeah.
Drew plenty that year. But yeah, that's what I mean. If Liverpool went invincibles this season, you'd still be talking about it in 15 years' time.
Yeah. I think from a selfish perspective, I would absolutely love Liverpool to go down as A, the best Premier League team ever, if it's possible, but B, certainly the first team ever to A, go unbeaten, and B, reach a century of points in the same campaign. I think that would be ridiculous. That would be history book stuff. So if Liverpool can get that, why not go for it? So my last question by Mike Keevy. Hopefully I've said that one right as well. There seems to be a definite change to the Red style this year. Can't put my finger on what exactly. Is there anything in the stats that bear that out? Not really. I would say Liverpool is still feeling the same team. I don't think a great deal has changed. But I think it's interesting how Liverpool are winning this league, because if you look at Liverpool's performance numbers, so XG and expected goals against, compared to City's performance numbers, they've both followed a similar theme. Liverpool's XG now is 1.95 per game. So Liverpool are expected to score about 2 goals a game there, and Liverpool's expected goals against is bang on 1 at the minute. So Liverpool are winning virtually every game 2-1, according to XG at least. And then obviously the quality of Mane and that come in. So Liverpool's goes up in attack, and then the quality of Alisson's comes in, and it goes down in defence really. But if you compare it to last season, Liverpool's XG last season was 1.91, which is in attack virtually the same, and the defence was 0.79. Hopefully you're keeping up with the numbers here, but that means that basically Liverpool's attack is very, very slightly better, and Liverpool's defence is quite notably worse, to be honest. And if you look at Manchester City, it's the same. City's attack this season is better, and City's defence is worse. The difference is City's defence is notably worse. The jump in defence, City's defence is much worse than Liverpool's defence is worse, if that makes sense. And I said at the very, very start of the season, actually, to Christian, on a podcast, I think if the league improves offensively, the better the league gets. You know, players like Sebastian Haller playing for West Ham and things like that. The better the league gets, I think the more it benefits Liverpool over City, because City have this style that is just highly suited to dominating teams that are crap, basically. Hopefully that's not a swear word.
No.
And it's not as suited to playing teams that are basically and players that are good. If you're a capable player, and if two players come towards you, closing you down, if you can get out of that, then that's gonna hinder City more than it'll hinder Liverpool. So, and I think it's kind of played out that way. Yeah. Because City have suffered more this season, and Liverpool have suffered more this season in defence, but City just considerably more so.
How much worse do you know?
Yeah, City's defence this season, XG against 0.97 per 90. Last season 0.66 per 90. So that's a jump of about 0.3,
which is a lot
per match, that's like one fairly clear-cut chance. So yeah, I think it's interesting.
Because I prepared a piece recently looking at goalkeepers, and someone replied, Matt Cheadle, his name is. He's actually a really good data guy. I think he works for Sky Sports. And we had a little chat, and I'm sure he said, I'll double check this, maybe confirm it next pod, that roughly works out that a goal conceded costs a point over an average as a season.
Right.
Which doesn't sound right, but I trust his numbers. I haven't looked at it myself. But, you know, obviously, so if you're conceding a lot more, that's costing you a lot more points.
Yeah, definitely,
which explains it. Can I, just before we round up, a friend of the show, Tom Stewart, obviously DM'd me with a question that maybe I'll just put to you, but maybe contribute as well.
I haven't prepared for this.
Well, neither have I. Actually, I forgot all about it. But
no, go on.
I said he's a good lad, so I want to get it in. He asked, which it's a good question actually. Do you think that Liverpool could replicate a class of '92 type thing, especially with the story of Klopp potentially wanting to build a team again before his contract runs out?
Yeah, I do. I think it depends obviously on the quality of the players. But I would say Alexander-Arnold will obviously still be in the 11 when Klopp leaves. Yeah. I think Curtis Jones will be, if not starting regularly, certainly one of the midfielders that tends to rotate in and out and that sort of thing. I think he'll be an established Liverpool player by the time Klopp leaves.
There's Elliott as well, and even if Trent wasn't there or he gets moved positionally, which people talk about, Williams looks like he's going to be
Nico Williams is certainly a player that could, operate as a backup right back to Trent. You've got, as you say, Elliott, but I think he's 16, isn't he?
Yeah, but
how old is he by the time Klopp leaves then? 24, so he's 20 by then.
Yeah, but he looks like one of them that kind of has the high ceiling. I'm not saying he's going to be like an Mbappe type who's going to be a Champions League star at like 19, but...
No, he does, but one thing I would say, I think at the minute I would have more confidence that Curtis Jones is going to make it at Liverpool than Harvey Elliott. Okay. And I say that purely because it's all right having the talent and the technical ability and things like that, but I think when you get to a certain age at Liverpool and you're performing week in, week out, you have to have the physical capacity to cope. Playing every 3 days with Liverpool, the amount of defensive work that Salah and Mane do is honestly ridiculous. Salah, Mane and Firmino consistently defend as many as 6 players between the three of them, just by cutting off passing lanes, pressing in a certain way. And I think that's the main difference when you bring in a Harvey Elliott or a Ryan Brewster or maybe an Origi or players like that. It's their physical capacity. I mean, Origi can obviously do it, but it's the physical capacity to actually be able to defend like that. It's relentless. To do it every 3 days is a different story again. And I saw an interview with Klopp recently actually, and he got asked which player would he say has surprised him the most in terms of the level that he's currently at. I think the interviewer said Robertson, but Klopp used the example of Trent, and he said not because I didn't doubt whether he was a quality player, but because I wasn't sure whether he'd be able to cope with the physical demands, because so many players just don't make it. Naby Keita's struggling a little bit and things like that. So if Harvey Elliott can do that, obviously he'll make it at Liverpool because he's ridiculously talented, but it's such a demand to cope physically at that level.
Yeah, I agree, yeah. It's relentless.
Champions League and Premier League, elite level, physically to that, it's a lot.
Twice a week, don't you, basically, elite games for 9 months.
Yeah, it is a lot. What about you?
Yeah, no, I've got little to add on that. I think it's
Went
a really
off a
good
little
point.
bit there, didn't I? But
No, yeah, exactly. But it's all good. As I said, I've got little to add on it. Maybe I give a shout out in terms of if we're looking at central defence, Sepp van der Berg. I think he.
there's been a few doubts about him. I don't like it, you know.
Well, I
think it's unfair.
I know. I've watched him a few times, and not just in games like where he's played in the first team. Watched him at 23s, and I've seen him make mistakes, right? But that's what he's doing now. He's developing his game. What I really like about him is he's got really good, positional awareness, tactical understanding. He's brilliant 90% of the time, and he's cool. He's really, really chilled. He is what we were talking about Van Dijk is before. Never looked flustered, and that's what he has as well. And you
traditional Dutch.
Yeah, but you can't teach that though, really, can you? That's
No.
what you can't teach. It's a trait that's desirable but hard to find. So I think he could potentially be one for the future as well.
Yeah, I think in terms of a squad building perspective, I think that's why Liverpool are never really quick to sign stopgaps, or we've had basically 2 fullbacks for like 18 months now. Alexander-Arnold and Robertson are our only fullbacks really at the club, and I think one of the reasons that the likes of Michael Edwards aren't quick to recruit backups and have 2 players in every position like City do is because just give these players time. See if any players do come through and make a claim, and you can just slot them in. And I think that's basically what Liverpool are doing as a means of bringing through academy kids that are capable of making sure that there's spaces for them and things like that.
Yeah, spot on, mate.
We'll round up there anyway.
Good show.
So we'll be back next week after West Ham at some point. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us, Dave.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
And we'll see you next week.